That's when I started my company, Vertical Solutions Media. I had a motto at the time to stay vertical in my faith.
Welcome to V is for Victory, a podcast about how small businesses overcome big battles. I'm your host, Jill Miller of Vera Creative, a boutique marketing firm in the Chicagoland area where I'm also a part-time professor of an advertising course. Join me as I talk with entrepreneurs about the challenges they faced as well as their strategies for success. All right, everybody, welcome to V is for Victory. Today, my special guest is Bethany Meadows. And before we jump into conversation with her and her expertise, I just want to say and remind you to please like, follow, review, download our episodes. We hope we're bringing you really good content and giving you inspiring ideas for your business. And that just lets us know you're listening. So thank you again for doing those things. And Bethany, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Jill. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, so you are founder of Vertical Solutions, and you have written 2 books, Getting a Grip, which is a parenting book, and you have another book called The Juggle is Real, coming out very soon.
Yes.
Tell me about those.
So the Getting a Grip really kind of was born out of my story. I had an only child until she was about 11. And then I adopted a sibling group of 4 children that were 8, 9, 10, 11. So now I had 5 children overnight, 8, 9, 10, 11, 11. And the thing about that experience was I really thought I wasn't equipped for that. I spent a lot of time in my walk-in closet just crying and going, why me, Lord, kind of thing. And what I realized was my business experience did equip me to take on this challenge of 5 children and in an unusual situation too, where you're adopting children that already have some history and just trying to bond with them and create processes and things within the family so things would run smoothly. I ultimately came up with a discipline system that worked really well for us, and I wanted to be able to share it with the world. And I figured if the only people who read it were my children, then that would be a legacy for my grandchildren. So that's kind of where Getting a Grip came from. That was in 2017. And then now I kind of realized, looking back too, in the terms of the business element, when I went through a divorce 2 years after the adoption, I found myself homeschooling 5 children and having to be the primary breadwinner. And that's when I started my company, Vertical Solutions Media. I had a motto at the time to stay vertical in my faith and help kind of walk through what was a very challenging time. And now it kind of, this book kind of came to my heart in terms of mompreneurs and all the things that we juggle and trying to, create that myth of a work-life balance, which really doesn't exist. We're usually so far outside our margin that we're overwhelmed and it is a season, but it is a tough season, to be balancing both those things. So I wrote The Juggle is Real as a way of sharing all the things that I found that helped me be a single mom of 5 children, homeschooling, running a business, and getting about 3 hours sleep a night. So,
oh my goodness. So full disclosure, I actually just cried my eyes out. I don't cry very often. It takes a lot for me to cry. I don't break easy, but I just cried my eyes out to our nanny because I was experiencing all the things that you were talking about just with 2 babies. We have 2 kiddos. I have a 4-year-old and I have a 16-month-old. We have a baby on the way, which may or may not need a surgery right after he's born, which is putting a ton of stress on us.
oh,
It's extra doctor's appointments. It's all sorts of testing. It's constant, and as a business owner, I get about 12 hours a week at my desk to work on my business or to work for my clients and on my business
right.
and do the podcast. And so I was just feeling so overwhelmed. We had a couple doctor's appointments yesterday that didn't quite go the way we had hoped. I didn't quite get the answers that I really needed to feel like things were kind of moving in the right direction or off my plate. And so, just as a mom, as an entrepreneur, or as the world has so lovely coined us, mompreneurs, I get it. And I can't wait for this book to come out. I'm definitely going to pick up a copy of this book. And, I've not adopted children, but I feel like we have a lot in common. You also have a marketing firm. I'm super excited to pick your brain about that and how you got that started. But a very practical question that I want to ask you first. 5 children. How did you all fit in the car?
We had a Suburban.
Okay. That's our big struggle right now, logistics.
Yeah.
We're like, where do all these car seats go? How do you make them fit? And how do you reach them from, I'm one little person. I gotta
Yeah,
know how to
and
reach
it's
them.
not just the car seats, but as they get older, what you're going to find out is they eat a lot. And I needed the Suburban just to fit the groceries.
Or one extra
Um,
kid, like they
oh
got a
yeah,
friend
their
coming
friend.
along. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's where like, oh my goodness, yeah, we just upgraded my husband's vehicle from an Explorer to an Expedition because we traveled to Wisconsin to see my family, and once we popped that third row up, there was no luggage going in that car, that's for sure.
Yes. Yeah. I actually used to take them as a single mom. I would take all 5 kids camping
Oh my
in that Suburban, and I would have 2 roof bags with equipment, and all the kids had to hold their duffel bag, with their clothes and
yeah, yeah,
stuff, and then the rest, stuff was in the back. But those were some of the best memories that we all
yeah.
have, is just going out and throwing a tent up and sitting around the campfire and just being together with no screens.
Well, and we currently homeschool our daughter. She actually goes to a homeschool group, so I can't say that I homeschool her, but she has 2 teachers and 8 students in her class. And I love this setup. I definitely hope to continue on. They only go up to kindergarten. So next year would be her last year with this homeschool group, but I definitely want to continue homeschooling and homeschool our other two kids. I just think that homeschool kids are a little bit, I don't know, they come equipped with that ability to take care of themselves a little better, to be more independent, because there's not as much hand holding. So when you see, to go camping with 5 kids who are homeschooled are probably already used to kind of being in, okay, go pack your bag. They get that. They get what that means, right?
Right. Put
um,
up the tent.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Oh, wonderful.
I didn't start homeschooling because I thought it was a grand idea. And I mean, I really felt backed into a corner. My oldest daughter, my biological daughter, we had just moved to a new state, and the school system it's called a cluster system there.
Okay.
You're not assigned to one school, you're assigned to 5 schools. And then as the schools fill up, they move them down through the cluster, right? Well,
Okay.
the problem with that is coming in the middle of a school year is, we got the bottom of the barrel school, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Inside that cluster. And within 10 days, she was being physically bullied. And then on day 9, a kid in her class grabbed another boy by the hair and broke his nose by smashing his face into a desk. And I was like, okay, and this is actually in my book too. It's like either we got to find a private school or she needs to take karate or something.
Yes, self-defense.
So that was kind of my entry. I tried to get her in private schools. They were also filled up, which is also a clue about the school system in the area.
Yeah, yeah,
And
right.
I, the one of the receptionists at a private school said, "Have you thought about homeschooling?" And I was like, her and I can't even do homework together. There's
Yeah, I
no
know.
way that that I would be able to be her teacher. And I said, okay, out of desperation, I'll meet with the president of the homeschool group, in the area, kind of thing. And I met with her, and she had an only child as well. And she really encouraged me, you can do this. It's, there, and I'm like, what about socialization? Because that's what everybody says. And she's
Right.
like, no, we're very active, and she'll be able to, meet with the kids. And, we go on regular field trips and all the things. Right. And so she really kind of allayed some of my fears. Well, 18 months later, I adopted the group of 4, and it was a beautiful thing for them because they had the opportunity to, because they were going through some stuff, right?
Yeah.
You know, there was a lot of change in the new family, and they're just kids. And
Right.
so it gave them a place where they could have a bad day and it be okay.
Yeah.
And I was able to customize. They had been held back multiple years. Everyone graduated. I ended up homeschooling all the way through high school. Everyone graduated when they were supposed to. They all caught up. So it ended up being this beautiful thing, but I was definitely the reluctant, yeah, no, I don't think I'm the right person to homeschool my kids.
I really think that there was a little bit of divine intervention going on there, right? Because it
Oh,
was
for
like,
sure.
she said that, and then you met with the teacher and you guys aligned and had a lot in common. And, it just was like, and then the four came along and they needed homeschooling. That was
Yeah.
probably the best thing that you could have done for them and helped them. And to catch them up is just a testament to your ability, your faith, your patience. I think.
Well, one of the
Yeah,
things I talk about in the book, The Juggle is Real, is about, I do a whole chapter on understanding your why and
yeah,
really discovering what that is, both on a personal level and on a business level. Now, on a personal level, I was very clear on why I was homeschooling. And even though I had gone through a divorce, now I was single, now I was like the primary breadwinner, I had to figure all that out. And I was probably working 18 to 20 hours a day between business and school. People said to me, like, because people say things,
yeah,
right? Because they think they know better than you
yeah,
or your own family. And they said, what are you doing? That makes no sense. Put them in school. You need a break. The kids need more attention than you can give them. And, they have all the opinions. If I wasn't clear on why I was doing that, I would have self-doubt. I would have had self-doubt. I would have wondered, am I making the right decision? But because I was very clear on my why, I was like, no, I know why I'm doing this and it is worth it.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing I was going to point out is I've always, oh man, so long story, I'll try to make it short. My undergraduate degree, I call it my degree in nothing. It's a liberal arts degree. And what I had to do to graduate was just pick any 300 level course. And I just had to accumulate enough credits as long as they were from 300 level courses. So I took a yoga class. I'm very into yoga. I took a yoga class to help me graduate. I took like every film class there was. I don't even watch that many movies, but the film classes themselves were a lot. I liked to see how film and society crossed over and how film is always a commentary on society, right? And then that played. Then I started taking some business courses and some PR, and interpersonal communications was a good one. But I started to see how, like, no matter how um different, maybe like different parts of the school or different parts of areas of study, I started to see how they all collided. And it gave me this really unique vision of like, man, I used to take yoga and I would hear the physical cues and I was thinking it's a very physical practice. And then one day it was like the teacher just said, and whatever he said, I don't even know what it was, but I was like, man, that's not about the pose. That's about life. That's applying to the situation that I'm in, or this friendship, or this relationship, or this career path, or this uncertainty in my life. And it was just like, and from that moment on, I started looking at how all the things that I do that are seemingly so different from one another come together. And my yoga teacher and I have said this on like the last 10 podcasts. So listeners, bear with me, but who you are on your mat is who you are in your life. That's what he says. So however you show up on your mat reluctantly, you're probably showing up somewhere in your life reluctantly. If you're avoiding a hard posture, then there's something in your life that you're probably avoiding that's hard too. It could be as simple as a conversation. It doesn't have to be something physical, right? But your mat is a reflection of yourself, and it gives you a good view as you're practicing and kind of uncovering the layers of yourself. It gives you a good view. And when, as an entrepreneur, we bring our personalities, we bring our hangups, we bring our insecurities, we bring our confidences, we bring all these things with us into the way that we run our business and how we do business. And I think And again, I've talked about this recently on the show, but it's worth noting again and getting your perspective as well. I just think that it's so fascinating because a lot of people just think that they can be one way. I'm just going to be the business person, right? I'm not going to let any of these other things in my personal life affect me. I'm just it, and it's just it doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? Really, who you are and any insecurity you have, or where even a lot of times when we excel at something, we'll spend all of our time in our business working on the thing we're good at, and we'll avoid getting better at the thing that we're not good at, right? And so it's just it where business and life and relationships and everything intersect. I love that. I love those moments when it's glaringly obvious, right? So talk to me a little bit about, if I made any
Yeah.
sense
So
about that.
what you're talking about in business is having an authentic brand.
Mhm.
And, but as business owners, we are more likely to attract people who share our values. And so when we set up our company and we think about our brand values and we think about our value proposition and what we're bringing to the table, the customers most likely to want to work with us are the ones that are going to align with that. And so it's very important that, like what you're talking about, is like showing up as the air quotes, the business person.
Right.
Sometimes what we do is we try and pretend to be what we think people want us to be instead of being who we are. And the problem with that is people can see that we're faking, and now they don't trust us.
Yeah, yeah.
Right. And so it's important that we show up in our authentic self, and that becomes part of our differential, right? We can't just mimic our competition and
Thank
expect to stand
you.
out, right?
Thank
We have to.
you. Yes, that's a great point. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. So I mean, I love brand. I talk about brand. I teach brand. Brand is everything. And for me, but if it's not real, you're setting yourself up for failure. And so, if I had to say that, the one thing to a business owner who is struggling is really look at the brand that you're establishing for your company and make sure that it's authentic and make sure it's who you are. I think we all have this insecurity, this imposter syndrome, this thing that goes on with us where we think, we're people are somehow going to see all those insecurities,
Yeah.
I'll see all those things that we think are wrong with us. But in actuality, when a brand is genuine, it's not perfect. And people are attracted to not perfect because they know they're not perfect either. And they love the transparency. They love the relevance that they feel and connect to emotionally to a brand that is willing to put themselves out exactly as they are. I think, like, I'll give you an example too. Like when people first start doing a podcast, right? They're trying to be like all like the professional, and they use like the professional voice, and they're doing all the things that they think they're supposed to do. But the best podcasts just show up and be who they are. Because, then it's funny, or, the dog barks when you're trying to
Oh
do it.
yeah.
Oh, great. And you just be real, just be human. And you can be that as a business because your business is a reflection of you
Yeah.
as a business owner.
Yeah, and even a good example of that is like you were saying, Vertical Solutions, that name is so meaningful to you because you always want to be vertical in your faith, vertical in, your movements, your career. Vera Creative is the name of my consulting firm. Vera means warrior. It comes from a Sanskrit term, and Sanskrit is obviously what all the yoga poses are named in. So it's like it's very personal to me, right? And I had people tell me to change the name before I went out and really established my brand, but I didn't. I stuck to my guns, and I love it to this day. I have not had to rebrand once because I love my logo. I love the name. My tagline is Victory for Brands. My podcast is V is for Victory. Like it all
Right.
works, right?
Our tagline is reinventing success.
Oh, I
And for
love that.
me, that was coming out of the divorce and reinventing myself, reinventing my world. reinventing the way, I do life. And so, yeah, it all connects. And I'm 14 years in on my business.
Yeah.
And it has stood the test of time because
Yes. Good.
it was real and authentic. And so that's
Right.
another great point too about your brand. If you have to keep changing it every 5 years, it probably wasn't you. It will evolve. It just, because we grow and mature, and it should grow and mature with us. But
Yeah, we're going on 12 years here. But, in business, that's the thing. Like, if you can't reinvent yourself, you're going to get left behind. And especially, like, even as an entrepreneur, because I feel like we're constantly like, okay, well, that didn't work. Now let's go start over again. And you have to have, when you're in business, yeah, thick skin, all that. You have to have that whenever you're dealing with people. But I just think that in terms of, like entrepreneurship, you have to have it intrinsically. You can't find motivation externally. You can't rely on people externally to really pick you up and move you forward. You have to be creative. You have to be insightful. You have to constantly be reinventing yourself when something doesn't work, and rather than kind of, oh, I don't know, giving up, I guess. I don't know. There's a lot, I see a lot of small business owners go back to the 9 to 5, and they kind of bounce between this and that and the other, and they don't really stick with it. And I agree, there's a lack of authenticity in that, but also just a lack of their own ability to reinvent, right? What they thought was going to work doesn't work anymore. And now they're like, well, now what? That was my one plan, right?
right, right. I mean, a few years ago, we started working with a company that the only marketing they had ever done, because that's always a question I ask a
Yeah,
new client, is what kind of
same,
marketing you've done in the past? What were the results of
same. Yep.
those things? The only marketing this business had ever done was TV.
Wow. And
And
that requires a huge budget too.
yeah, and they
Yes.
barely had a website.
Of
They didn't have a digital footprint at all. Um, because there is a place for TV still, but
course.
as far as this is a small business, and like you said, TV is expensive. So you're not necessarily targeting. This was a very specific target for actually mothers to be.
Okay. Yeah. The
Okay.
number one marketed listeners, they are the number one marketed group of people, mothers to be.
Right.
Pregnant women are the number one group.
But TV is pretty broad. And so,
Yeah.
that's a lot of money spent to advertise to people who are not mothers to be.
Right.
So it's interesting, like, if we, like you're talking about, if you stay with your head down, just doing what you've always done, you're going to be a dinosaur in about 5 minutes because
Yeah.
the world is changing really fast.
Yeah. What do you do? Does your firm do a lot of social media?
We do.
Yeah. So how do you keep up with social media, with algorithms, with all the changes in just the different platforms and how they're shifting from, images or text to videos and content?
Yes. So I think the one, if I had to say what one of the number one mistake that a lot of entrepreneurs make or business owners make is that they don't embrace a lifestyle of learning.
Yeah.
And this should apply to your personal as well as your professional life, but whether it's social media or anything else, we have to be in a mindset of constantly learning and realizing we don't know what we don't know. When it comes to social media, we're very strategic oriented. So for me, it's really understanding who that core audience, that target audience is, and defining that buyer persona, and then figuring out where is that specific buyer persona on social media. A lot of
Yeah.
business owners, what they do is they just get all the channels and they just market the same way on every channel.
Yep.
They
Same
post
content. Yeah.
same, yeah.
Yeah.
And really if you're going to be strategic and really make that investment, because even if you're doing it yourself, it's still an investment of your time, which can be even worth more than paying somebody else to do it.
Absolutely.
So it's just digging in and making sure that you understand who you're trying to reach, where they spend their time, and the messaging that's going to most resonate with them.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's why I think that's why we were talking about the show, why research is so important to me, because I think people just assume that every person is on every social media platform, and that's just not the
right,
case. And business owners feel like they hear, oh, well, I guess I got to be doing reels now, so I got to go on Instagram and do reels, and so then they jump on that. And it's like, well, like you said, it actually comes down to your target market, and each platform has a specific target market that's on it and utilizing it. And does that align with yours? If not, don't waste your time doing it. If your target market is not on Twitter, don't waste your time on Twitter. Because like you said, time is our most valuable resource. So
right.
I love that. And it's kind of what I was telling you about before the show, is how I'm trying to kind of introduce like a course that business owners can take on my end, and I'm including a lot of that research, the demographics and the psychographics of who's on each social media platform, how people consume even things like direct mail, right? Because
Mm.
there's habits, and there's statistics, and I'm a research nerd, so I love statistics. But there's statistics out there that talk about like how long people interact with their daily mail, physical mail, like snail mail, right? And all that is so good to know, because then you can put strategy and make sure that you're on the right platforms, saving your time, allocating your budget wisely. And so having the research side of it, I just want to add, along with the strategy, is so incredibly important.
I totally agree. And that the thing is, it's overwhelming.
Yeah.
The average business owner is not a marketing person. They didn't go to school to be a marketer. They went to school to be a medical practitioner or whatever it is that they do, the widgets they make or what have you. So marketing is like this foreign piece of it that it would be like for me, I'm a marketer. The one thing that's really difficult for me to do is bookkeeping because it's the other side of my brain.
Yeah.
But I have to force myself to do it. I have to discipline myself to do it because I'm a business owner. That means I wear a lot of hats. And so a lot of business owners avoid the marketing piece of things, or they allocate it out to, outsource it without really having input. But it's one of those things, even if it's hard, you still have to do it as a business owner. It doesn't matter what you do, what kind of business you have, you're in marketing.
Oh
Um,
yeah, or you're in sales, like that too.
and even if you're hiring someone to do your marketing, you are still the one that should be directing the strategy. So you need to learn, teach yourself enough that you can say that doesn't make sense for my brand, or that's not going to align with the target audience I'm trying to reach. You should at least have that.
One of my best friends, I do her marketing, which I know, and normally you don't want a friend to do your marketing, people, but we work. We're so like-minded, and she's been my client for, I don't know, 10, probably as long as I've been in existence, 12 years. And anyways, but she's always saying, she's great referral source for me, okay? But she's always telling people she'll make you more busy, because she demands stuff from you. So, kind of going along with what you're talking about, like I demand that the clients be an active participant into the decision making, and, help kind of. You have to teach me a little bit your brand voice. I can look at what you've put out there, but I need to get to that why piece and understand you and your voice, so that I can then go and kind of mimic it. And I've always said that that's kind of my best quality, is being this like chameleon, was undercover. There's some clients where I read their posts and I'm like, did I write that or did they write that? I can't even tell. I honestly can't tell, and I think that's a really good thing. Personally,
Yeah.
it's something I'm very proud of. But yes, it's funny because it sounds like she's, when you're referring someone, that's the last thing you want to hear. Like, wait, I'm hiring her and I'm going to be more busy. What? But it goes along with what you said. Like, yeah, I'm going to be teaching you things along the way. I'm going to be asking for, like I said, your input and your perspective and who's buying from you. Oh, you don't know? Well, then let's go back and put a strategy in place so we can figure that out, because we have to narrow down this target market. So I love
Right.
all the things you're
I
talking about.
refer to it like a marriage, it's like, and so that's why not everybody's a fit, right?
Yeah,
Everybody's not a fit to work with you as a marketing professional. You
correct.
you want to attract customers to you, like we were talking about before, who align with your values. I mean, there's some customers I'm not going to work with because I don't believe in what they do.
Yep.
Um,
Yes.
you
Having
know,
integrity is so important.
right. Or if they aren't going to let go and trust the advice that you're giving, and they want to
Yep.
micromanage. I always
Yep.
say, I'm not Kinko's. If you want to do that, go to Kinko's. There's a reason why we do what we do and know what we know. So it has to be this collaboration, this, where you kind of come together and, we understand your brand and where you're going and what your goals are. And then we use our expertise to elevate that.
Yeah, I mean, I love that. Like I said, you're just speaking my language right now. You're speaking into my little marketing heart. It's great to find other like-minded entrepreneurs and marketing consultants out there, because I feel like the other side of things too is clients have been really burned by consultants,
Yeah.
right? That kind of just take their money and don't really do anything, or make these big promises and don't even return phone calls or emails or anything like that. And again, like, not only are you a marketer when you're a business owner, but you're the customer service, you're the customer service rep. You're the number one, sometimes you're a lawyer, like, you're all
Yeah.
these things. But yeah, so anyways, talk to me a little bit about how you do find how do you guys find clients? How do you sell yourself? And what you look for in clients, because I think that's also the beauty of, I love that I get to pick and choose, and I would never market something that I don't stand behind, and that's the glory of
Right.
it. I can't imagine being in a job or being told where you have to go push this product that does harm or something like that. Like, that would break me.
Yes. So as an agency, when you're first starting out, you're hungry. You'll do whatever you need to do.
For as little as
Yeah. So it's,
yeah.
whatever you need to do, you do just to survive. But at some point you reach a level of success that you can, that the word of mouth is what kicks in.
Yep.
I'm really big on word of mouth and creating experiences so that customers will talk about you. And that's true not just of my business, but of my clients' business, right? If we can wow, surprise, delight our customers, they become our best form of advertising.
Mm-hmm.
And I've also found that when I go out and market myself or the agency, I don't get the client that I want or need. I don't get the person, I don't attract the person that I want or need as an
Yeah.
agency. When it comes through word of mouth, those are the quality clients because they're being referred out of relationship. And those relationships would not refer a crazy person to me. Right. So I
Absolutely.
have found it
It's
is
very easy.
better. It is much better for me to work on the customer experience and let them refer people to me, and allow that growth to come from the not crazy cool.
And then it's a little slower of growth and it's a little bit more organic. But as long as you know that about your business, then you can budget accordingly and hire accordingly. And so that all works. And I'm the same way for years. I mean, I think I do very little advertising. I joined the chamber this year. That was big for me. And I sponsored an event. But again, it's keeping things into perspective. Did I think that that was going to result in 10 new clients? No, absolutely not. It was just because I hadn't done anything yet to get my name out there to the local businesses. And I know that there's a lot of untapped potential. And I know that that first kind of, experience comes from just putting the name and the face together. So I just wanted to show up and be like, hey, I'm the sponsor of the event. You're wiping your face with my napkins.
Right. So about a little over a year ago, we launched Time to Thrive. And it really came out of the end of like during the pandemic, we were getting calls from business owners who were like, I need to figure out how to pivot. Like pivot became the big
Yeah.
word of the pandemic, right? I need to figure out how I can stay relevant. I need to figure out how I can change my product offering in light of what's going on. So the problem was they couldn't afford us. They were the smaller businesses. We have like a minimum retainer level, and they couldn't afford us. And I got enough phone calls that I was like, wow, there's a real need out here to help these smaller business owners. But how can I do that in a way that makes sense? Because we sell time and we only have so much of it, and they can't afford our time,
Right.
right?
Yep.
So that's why we created Time to Thrive, to be this solution for the smaller business owner to be able to have access. So I just treat Time to Thrive like one big client.
Mm.
So it makes sense for me. I create a lot of evergreen trainings and things on video where they can get access to those things. But then we also do live events. Like yesterday, I did a monthly Q&A where they can just get online and go, look, I'm struggling with this. And it's $67 a month, so they can afford that.
Yeah.
And we can bring in guest experts, people like yourself that can share their knowledge with the group. And we do social stuff, like, and people are all over the country. So like we'll do like a Christmas party and everybody just gets on Zoom and hangs out and we play games and whatever. And it's just, part of that community, being part of that community of people who really, like you were saying, like you're speaking my language, like being part of a community where people speak your language and really
Yeah.
understand the struggles of a solopreneur or a small business owner. We have actually a lot of real estate agents in the group as well, because they're business owners.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm having a ball with this group because I get so much, and this, so that's why I'm telling you this, is when you see a light bulb come on over someone's head and
Mm-hmm.
changes the course of their business, that's huge. I mean, I go home, I've had a good day. It doesn't matter what
Yeah.
has happened that day. If I have one of those, I'm a happy girl. So it's very fulfilling.
And that's the thing. I read somebody's Facebook post the other day and they put it more eloquent. Everybody puts things more eloquently than I do. That's why I have guests on the show because you're speaking my language, but you're speaking it way better than I could. Um, Whatever he said in his post, I was like, yeah, that's absolutely right. And what it got down to was that as an entrepreneur, if you aren't in it to help other people, then you're going to be miserable. Like if at the end of the day, helping somebody is not your ultimate goal, you're never going to be happy because that is the number one reward you get as a business owner. In that's in my opinion. I full-heartedly believe that. It doesn't matter how small of a way, but if I can just help somebody with one little thing or solve one little problem for them, it's like that just fills me up. I am so pumped, and that's what keeps me going day after day after day after day. And it has nothing to do like with me, right? It's all about seeing them be successful and helping
Right.
them succeed. So if I create a post and I see that post gets everybody's going, yeah, oh, that's so right. I'm like, I am so pumped for my client, right? Even though I wrote the post, it's like that's awesome. They're getting the reward for it because that happens, right? And a lot of time it's our content, it's our word, it's our work, and the client is getting the kudos for it. And so that can, to some people with when ego is involved, can maybe be not feel so good. But for people like you and I, it's like, yes, I did my job today. I was a success. Like that to me is how I define success in my role, right? Are my clients successful? Are they having wins, big and small? It's just the best feeling.
It is. It totally is. I did a challenge here recently in the membership called the Write a Book in 30 Day Challenge. And because I was writing the book, I was like, I'm going to document my process of writing a book. And then I'm going to be able to share it with others, because I really think that a lot of people have something amazing to share. And writing a book is a way to do that. And as a business owner, if you have something amazing to share that's around your industry, that book becomes this very powerful lead magnet tool, thought leadership elevator. I mean, it's just so useful in so many different ways that you can use a book. But that's a big part of part of that process is that book statement. Like, who are you talking to? What problems are you helping them solve? And then what will be the result for them? How will their life be better? And so I walk them through that process so they can be very clear on who they're talking to and how they're solving their problems. And that's how they, get to that place of clarity in writing the book. But it's true of a business as well. That's part of your brand statement, is understanding who you're trying to help, what problems they have, and how you solve them, and how it changes their life.
You have a career in teaching if you ever want to teach at a university, because you sound so much like my professors too from my grad school days. And I think that's and I'm like, wow, yes, I haven't heard somebody speak like this on this topic since my school days. It's so simple. I love how you're boiling it down. Okay, so Bethany Meadows, founder of Vertical Solutions and Time to Thrive, author of Getting a Grip and The Juggle is Real. When does that come out? How can we get our hands on all of these offerings that you have?
Yeah, so Getting a Grip's already on Amazon. It's on, other sites, but that's usually the most common place to get it. And then The Juggle is Real will be out in 45 days.
You just super pumped. You're counting down the days.
I am.
What's your book launch going to be like? What do you got planned?
Yeah, so we're working up to that. I mean, the big thing when you launch a book on Amazon, and of course, I'm teaching all of that inside that Write a Book in 30-Day challenge too, is you got to start marketing as soon as you start writing your book.
Yeah.
Start building that buzz, building a community around it, really starting to draw in the target audience that you were looking to. So marketing starts as soon as you sit down to write your book. And then, on Amazon, you always want to be the bestseller. So you have to dig in and find the right category and figure all that stuff out. And we take people through that step by step. But, yeah, so when you have your launch day, you actually quietly launch 2 weeks before you actually launch, just so everything's working right and doing all the things. And then launch day, of course, you want to just drive as many people as you can and just have everybody set up to come in on that one day and buy a 99-cent Kindle copy of your book so that you will be shown as a bestseller on Amazon. And of course, then forever and ever, you can say, you're a bestseller on Amazon.
Yeah. Tricks of the trade, people. I love that little gold nugget you just shared there. That's brilliant. Well, and I can link those, the ones that are out now, I can link in the episode notes as well to your website.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and your social media. Any lasting thoughts you want to leave with listeners?
One thing I would like to share that, as mompreneurs, one of the things that I did wrong is that I was very isolated. For me, self-care felt selfish, and anything that I did for myself, I was like, I thought I was taking it away from my children or taking it away from my business. And so I really struggled for a long time with the whole self-care aspect of it. But I was also very isolated. I didn't have time for socializing. I say that in quotes, time for socializing, because I was too busy. Building a tribe of sisters that can walk in your journey, even if it's a small tribe, is super important. So I feel like if I was going to say a last word, is don't neglect putting people around you that can be your cheerleaders, that will stand up for you when other people are trying to put you down, that will walk alongside you through the hard and times and celebrate the good ones as well. A tribe of sisters is so valuable, and I wish I had learned it earlier in my journey rather than later. So
Very valuable advice. And I think what surprises people too is you might have a tribe when you start out as an entrepreneur, and usually they're the last people to be the support network you think they're going to be, especially if they're family or really close friends, right? A lot of times, just be open to that tribe. You don't know them yet if you're just getting started in your business, right?
Right. And a
It,
tribe that understands, like is
yeah,
walking a similar journey and
yep,
understands, you know,
yep.
that it's not easy. The juggle is real, right?
Yeah, I love it. You heard it, people. The juggle is real. Brilliant title for the book, Bethany. I love talking with you. We're so like-minded when it comes to our approach in marketing, what we're offering our clients. I'm super glad that we connected today. Please let's stay in touch. I definitely want to pick your brain as I launch into, marketing my course work, and because that's something you've already done. So I'm super excited. Hopefully, you can mentor me a little bit around that. I would absolutely love to be a guest speaker if you ever need someone like myself.
Yes, I would love to. I would love to have you.
Thank you. Yeah, I can lead yoga classes over Zoom, like whatever you need. I got you.
I'm a yoga fan too, so yes.
Yay! Awesome. Well, great. Thank you for the time today. And again, listeners, please drop a review, like, comment, and share this episode. And don't forget to check the episode notes so that you have the links to all of Bethany's wonderful content.